this is one thing I find with so many filmmakers, is they always forget about their audience. Are you here to bore people to death? Like, is that your job as a filmmaker, is to bore people? Because I don't want to bore people, I want to entertain the audience. Hi, this is Shadowscape Pictures, my name is Philip Wilson, and these are the tips I've learned after making 3 feature films. So, we'll start with number 1. Find the best actors you can afford. Now, this was something I've been told so many times through the last 2 features I've made, is the acting sucks. The acting sucks, and that's really it. Storyline was okay, but every time I've had reviews for my Within Circles and Big Man, both times have said the acting sucks. So that's why I believe the first thing you should always have is get the best actors you can find. Because if you don't have good actors, it's probably not going to be great. So that's why I always advocate for finding the best actors, especially locally or wherever, that'll do it for basically nothing, if they can do it for nothing. But if you have money and you have a budget, obviously pay them. But that's what I would say. Find the absolute best actors, because without those people, you're kind of screwed. And that's the first thing people kind of look at, is the acting. And if the acting's not good, your project's probably not going to be great, or it's probably not going to turn out, because you can have like a 10 out of 10 script, but if you got crappy actors, well, they're not going to make that 10 out of 10 script really good. So that's what I would say. First thing is find the best actors you can get, because it's going to really help your project. And honestly, it's one of the reasons El Mariachi did so well, is because they actually had some decently good acting in that film. Like, he really pulled that together. Like, that film is not like the best shot or anything like that, but the acting is actually pretty good, that everyone pretty well forgives the cinematography or sound or whatever. So number 1, always find the best actors ever. Like, just find them wherever you can. Find them, because a really bad actor really gonna take down your project. Second thing, have a decent script. Like, it can be a 6 out of 10 script. It doesn't need to be amazing, doesn't need to be the best thing ever, but I would say that it doesn't need to be absolutely flawless. So I would say like 6 out of 10, it just has to be good enough. Like, it honestly just has to be good enough to have like a decent storyline, and you know, have the actors actually get involved and do stuff, but not make it like absolutely terrible as well. Because you can take that 6 out of 10 and make it like a 3 out of 10 script, and you can have some decently good actors, but if the dialogue is, say, I eat bananas, or it's like The Room, it's like, hi doggy.
Hi doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Or, how's your sex life?
No, I can't. Anyway, how is your sex life?
Can't talk about it?
Doesn't even make any sense. Like, why would you? No, people don't have conversations like that. They just don't. So I would say 6 out of 10 script is what you need, and I think you should go from there, because really 6 out of 10 is all you really need for actually some decently good actors to pull off. So yeah, I would aim for that. If you can do better than that, go for it, but you really need those damn actors to really pull off your script. The third thing, have at least decent cinematography. Don't be making a home movie.
What the fuck you want, man?
Like on Tubi. Like, literally, Tubi's filled with home movies. Yeah, don't do that, but at least have some like competent cinematography. That's what I would say. It doesn't have to be like extremely special or anything, or like extremely good, because a lot of people forgive cinematography. But if it's at least half well done, and it's not like terrible and the lights blasting in your damn face, like, say this, like, maybe that's not the best. Maybe don't do that. Maybe don't try that. That's not, like, I don't think that looks great. But yeah, try not to do that. Bounce the light around and do something a little bit different than that. So, but yeah, you don't need the best cinematography ever, but at least make it somewhat decent. And yeah, That's what I would say. The fourth thing is get the best sound on location. Or at least try to, because you really don't want to ADR your entire movie like I did with Bagman and Bagman Rising. Those are two of the biggest mistakes I kind of made, because we could have actually had a lot of decently good sound in some of the rooms we shot in and stuff, but because we ADR'd them, they actually sound half decent now. And especially Bagman Rising, it sounds way better with the ADR than without it. So that's what I would suggest, especially if you don't want to do ADR or you don't have the time or money to do it. Get the best sound on location. Obviously, if there's like a bunch of like cars driving by and stuff, you might have to do ADR for stuff like that, especially if it's really noisy. But yeah, try to get the best sound on location for sure, 100%. It'll make your life a lot easier. Fifth thing is minimize locations. So have like 1 to 3 locations for your entire script. So like when you're creating the script, have like 1 to 3 locations in mind. You can have like 1 location films as well. I think that's also like a way to go, but it's also very difficult as well, especially creating a 1 location movie, because it can get kind of boring as well, depending on what you want to make. So I would say that, and the only reason I say that is because, especially if it's like you don't really have a whole lot of money, that's what I would say is like the 1 to 3 locations. You could even go up to like 5 or whatever, but as soon as you start going like past 10 and stuff, that really like slows down your project and everything. So I wouldn't quite recommend that, but I definitely recommend like 1 to 3 locations in the script. You might not get locations for free or whatever, so that's what I would also say, is sometimes you might have to pay for locations, and if you don't have the money to do so, limit your locations, or if you have family, friends, or whatever. But yeah, that's what I've learned over the years. So 1 to 3 locations if I were to really do it again and I didn't really have too much of a budget. The sixth thing is film with your crew and actors whenever you can. So a lot of like the films I've made with Insert Goes Bagman Rising, we really shot a lot of it on weekends because a lot of people were working full time and I didn't have the money to pay them. I'll just be honest. And a lot of the times the crew will be yourself and your friends. So yeah, find them, get them to help you wherever you can, and push each other to be better. So the seventh thing I would say is have a 90 to 110 page script, and 90 being minimum, 110 being maximum, because you don't want to go over that because then your film becomes too long, like Big Man Rising, which is 160 minutes long, and it's a little bit too long, honestly. And then I think Bagman was about 110 pages, which was an hour and 40 minutes. So it's roughly like 1 page to minute, roughly, give or take. But we did cut some stuff, so there is that as well. But only like 90 pages because you want to have some room to cut scenes or like have pacing issues or such. So you want to have stuff to like cut out as well. But you also don't want to make it like an hour long because you don't want that. And that's what I would say about that. So 90 to 110 pages is pretty well the sweet spot for a lot of films. Don't make 140 page script like I did with Big Man Rising. Probably not the greatest idea. I think I added even more shot or scenes to that, so probably was like pushing 145-ish. So yeah, I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that at all. Unless you have the budget. So number 8, you might have to shoot the film yourself. So if you have no experience, you might have to shoot it yourself. And like I said before, you can have somewhat subpar cinematography, but as long as like at least like bouncing lights and stuff and, you know, not blasting the light on yourself, I think you'll be pretty well okay. And try to watch some like 2B movies because you don't want to make like whole movies like that. At least buy some lights and stuff and at least make it half decent. But yeah, you might have to shoot it yourself because I think that would be a lot easier, honestly, and because you don't have to pay a DOP or anything like that. So I would suggest shoot the movie yourself because it'll save a lot of time and money as well, and you'll learn a lot as well. Number 9, buy a Blackmagic camera and get some cheap glass. This is one thing I would recommend for people to get, is buy a Blackmagic Pocket 4K, Get some cheap glass. It doesn't need to be fancy or anything. Just some stuff that really gets you going. I think micro four thirds lenses are pretty good. And there's like as well like EF adapters like the Magic Booster and stuff. So I think those things are like great options to shoot a film on. It doesn't need to be like fancy or anything. I think the FX3 is an expensive camera for truly what it is. The UI is like, I don't know why people like Sony's UI, but beats me. I don't know why the FX3 is so popular, honestly. It's not my cup of tea, and a lot of people would say Blackmagic isn't their cup of tea. So there is that. But yeah, in terms of like lenses and stuff, you just need like a few. You don't need like a ton. Maybe like one wide, one like 50 millimeter or something like that. Like that's really all you need, and then shoot it yourself pretty well. Like there obviously is some like attachments and stuff, and like get the whole camera rigged up and stuff, but you don't need a whole lot, and it'll still be cheaper than an FX3 itself. So that's what I'd recommend. I don't know why people are buying FX3s, like they're the best thing since sliced bread, but okay. Number 10, use DaVinci Resolve for post-production. And I only say this because DaVinci Resolve is very cheap. Like even the studio version was like what, $200-300 to buy, and then there's no subscriptions, there's no nothing. Like Blackmagic is doing like everybody a favor here, and like free updates, everything. So I honestly would just pay the $300, get the studio version, because it's gonna last a long time. But yeah, that's what I would do if I had to make another feature, is just use DaVinci Resolve. And I did use I didn't edit my first film which was Within Circles. I don't know what he used that. I think it was probably a Premiere Pro, and then Bagman I used a Premiere Pro, and I just didn't like the subscription base. Obviously there is some flaws with DaVinci Resolve, as we can see with Bagman Rising, which is an absolute monster of a movie. 160 minutes. Like there's a ton of footage. We had some issues with it, but to be honest, like if you're making a feature film again, like I would personally use it to save a lot of money. Adobe Premiere, it's okay. I think I would use it on like way bigger projects, and I think they use it quite a bit in Hollywood. But other than that, I wouldn't really use anything else. DaVinci Resolve's pretty good for like everything, especially like sound. Even like Fusion's really good. Fairlight's really good as well. And I think they came out with a DaVinci Resolve like 20 update now, which is even better. So I haven't really tested that out, so see how it goes. But that's why I'd recommend just DaVinci Resolve for post-production. So there you go. And number 11, you might have to do all the work yourself, especially if you have no money. And that's just the way it works. Honestly, that's how you get started. That's how you get going. Like I said, you might have to shoot the film yourself, and then now you might have to do all the work yourself as well. So it could be like you might have to do possibly even like makeup, set dressing, all that stuff by yourself if you got no friends. And that's just how it works. But if I were to do it again, that's what I do. I would have to do everything pretty well myself, or find like some friends and stuff to help me. But at the end of the day, not everyone's as passionate as you are, so probably gonna have to do most of the work yourself. And that's just pretty well the nature of like low budget filmmaking, is you're gonna have to wear a lot of hats. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, kind of gotta suck it up and just do it and get it over and done with, because that is the point of making films, is get it done, start it, finish it, get it done. Number 12, never forget your audience. This is one thing I find with so many filmmakers, is they always forget about their audience. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times like indie filmmakers, they make some of the boringest shit ever. I don't know why, but they do. And a lot of indie films in the last, I would say like 10 years-ish, not really, but anything past 2020 has been pretty boring for indie films. And I don't know why, but they keep making like these drama stuff, and I'm not a big fan of it. But they always forget their audience. Like, are you here to bore people to death? Like, is that your job as a filmmaker, is to bore people? Because I don't want to bore people. I want to entertain the audience. That's always the first thing I think of, is how is the audience gonna perceive this? How is the audience gonna think about this? And then a lot of times when I watch my own movies, like even Big Man Rising, I like to objectively look at it like an audience member. So I'll kind of take away my filmmaking, throw that away, and I'll view it as an audience member and go from there. Just to add on is get some feedback. Get some feedback about your film. You need the feedback. And a lot of people will lie, so you gotta find people that are willing to tell you the truth. So get the people that are willing to tell the truth, even though it might be harsh or it might be really rude. Get those people. Get them to give you feedback on how crappy it is, because usually it is, and they'll tell you what to improve on and what you may not be able to improve on. So, but more or less, it tells you what scenes are needed and what scenes aren't. So that really helps. Number 13, make the film entertaining. I don't know what the hell some of these indie filmmakers are doing, but they're always like, here's this long drawn ass shot. Like, bro, this isn't Lawrence of Arabia, which is actually pretty cool. Like, I don't give a shit. Make your film entertaining. That is so key. Like, filmmakers today forgot that. They're like, hey, how can I bore people to death with my big ego? It's like, I don't really care about your drama, bro. So like, yeah, make your film entertaining. So that comes from the script. So if you gotta write the script, make the film entertaining. Get the entertaining characters, get all that stuff. Make a decently good storyline, and make the film entertaining. You don't want to bore your audience. The worst reviews you can get is, this was kinda meh, forgettable. That's what I'm getting at. Do not make your film forgettable. Make it memorable. Make it stand out to the audience. That is the key. Shock them. Do something crazy. Like Terrifier. I think Terrifier is a great example. That's why it was successful. It's because he went out, Damien Leone shocked the audience. And that's what he did. And he also has a lot of charm as well. So there is that. But that's why it is successful. Because it was going to do things to really shock the audience. And overall, all three films are pretty entertaining overall. So not the best acting, but pretty good and charming overall. Number 14, make the first 10 minutes and make the last 10 minutes the best. That's what you gotta do. So in the first 10 minutes, get the hook, get your audience hooked into the film, and then you can kind of slow it down after that, and then ramp it up, and then go basically make it a roller coaster. But I see so many films nowadays not give the 10-minute hook. I don't know why. I don't know what happened to it. But there's a lot of films back then that got that first 10 minutes and you're like, yeah, I'm hooked into this. There's no way I'm not gonna like look away at something else or my phone. That's why a lot of people turn off like shows nowadays, especially like on streaming services. They just turn it off because, hey, you know, it's kind of boring, like first 10 minutes. And that's how I kind of view movies now too, is if the first 10 minutes doesn't hit, I might not watch it. Because you have to feel invested. Like, your first 10 minutes is so goddamn crucial, it's not even funny. And also, like, your ending has to be good. Your ending has to be really well done. Because you're leaving that last impression on people. So your last, like, 10 minutes or whatever, your whole, like, ending, just make that really cool. So if you don't have a whole lot of money, make sure, like, your first part of the movie has a big budget, and your last part of the movie, a big budget. Or at least do something crazy, because first 10 minutes gotta hook the audience, last 10 minutes gotta be very memorable, so that you leave the audience thinking, wow, that was really cool. Number 15, if you start something, finish it. Now, this was something I've always had in my head, is when you start a project, you always gotta finish it. It's not like video games where if you start the video game and you don't finish it, it's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. Whatever. But when it comes to like feature films and filmmaking, if you start the project, you gotta finish it. And I think you should use that as like everyday life stuff, is if you start something, you gotta finish it. But you don't have to like watch a movie that's painful to watch. Don't do that to yourself. Or play a video game that you're not really that interested in, or you're kind of like fell out of love for. So I wouldn't recommend that. But when it comes to like anything else in reality, or like building a computer, if you start it, finish it, right? That's how I view it. That's with everything in life. If you're gonna build a house, finish the house. Sometimes complications happen, but overall, you start it, finish it. So even if it takes you 10 years or whatever. So if the project isn't necessarily worth saving, don't do it. But if you put a lot of time and effort into it, regardless, especially if it's a feature film, I would personally finish it. I wouldn't just like throw it away. But yeah, when it comes to feature films, finish it. Just finish it. Even if it's bad or whatever, could be good, whatever, finish it. That's the key. The last one is the genre. Now, what I found is a lot of dramas and stuff in indie films are not great. And one of the biggest reasons is because you need actually good actors for dramas. Like if your actors aren't the best of the best, probably don't make a drama. I would honestly make anything else but that. Like make a comedy, a horror, an action movie or something to that effect. But yeah, not something that's gonna really like be like a true drama. Like obviously you're gonna have drama throughout the movie regardless, but not a true drama. I wouldn't recommend it because a lot of times you're just gonna bore your audience and such. Don't do that. That's another thing is just, yeah, don't bore your audience. But always keep that in mind. And I think my personal take is comedy always seems to be good with not so great actors. So if you don't have like the best of the best actors, comedy might really suit them more because you can get away with a lot of stuff with comedy and then also not at the same time, because I've seen that, especially with Bagman. Sure, it's like a horror comedy, but in a way it's more like this horror kind of like romantic comedy, I would call it. It's kind of a weird one, but it is weird. Whereas like with Bagman Rising, we made it more of an action comedy. That's what I would say. And yeah, overall, just don't make your movie boring and have crappy actors. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like at least have some decent sound overall. But yeah, that's what I would suggest after like so many years of making like films now, over the last 10 years now. That's what I figured out, because I spent a lot of time not making Within Circles. So like that was like less than 2 years, I think, and that movie was not good. Bagman I spent about 2016 about 3 years ish finishing, and that wasn't the best. And then now we're doing Bagman Rising, which is pretty well almost done, and that's taken 6 years. So I don't recommend making a movie over 6 years at all, because a lot of times like actors or like people's political stuff changes and it gets kind of like messy a bit, and some people don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm not going to get into that because that's not the point of the video, but that's what I found is don't make your movie over like 6 years and stuff, because sometimes the actors won't come back, whatever stuff happens, life changes, people move on. So that was that. So those are the 16 tips I would give to someone making a feature film. It's gonna be hard and difficult regardless of the fact.
Surprise, motherfuckers!
But those are kind of like the overall things I've learned over the years. And I might add to this list, or I might make another video adding on to that, to get into like the nitty gritty of it. But overall, I think that's a good list for now. Things might change as things progress. Oh, I have another one. There's another 17. I just thought of it. Is your movie score. This is something I totally forgot to write that down. Yeah, your movie score. People always forget the movie score. Always. Nowadays, when people get the music done, it's mostly forgettable. Even like big films, a lot of times, it's forgettable. It's just forgettable music overall. So that's what I would suggest as well, is find someone that can compose music competently. That is also the key. Make your movie sound awesome. That is also what I would say. Because you don't want to have like your movie, you do all this work and then like your music is crap, or it's like way too epic for say like a drama. Like why would you put Mad Max Fury Road's music in like a drama like The Pursuit of Happiness? It wouldn't make any sense, right? So that's what I would also say, is focus a lot on music as well. So that'd be 17. There, I just added another one because I had to think about it. But yeah, movie score is also very important, and get the composer to make it sound memorable. And if you don't have any money, well, there are other cheaper options. Like you can get royalty free stuff and maybe license it commercially and stuff, but overall I don't recommend that because that can really add up in costs. And yeah, I don't think it's worth it in my opinion, because you're probably going to spend that on somebody else, or at least find someone like that's at least half decent to compose your film and then go from there. But yeah, I definitely recommend having your movie score sound memorable. Is a must. Is an absolute must. And that's the one thing I did get kind of right with Bagman, is the music is actually one of the standout parts of the film. And I think it's honestly one of the best parts of the movie is the music. And it's just so like cheesy and good and suits the film well. And I can't wait for people to hear what Big Man Rising sounds like, because it sounds fucking awesome. Like, I've listened to some of the songs Josh Andres has scored. It sounds so good, and I just can't wait for people to hear what he did on the film, because it's awesome. So yeah, that's basically it. That's basically the video. And like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me if like these tips helped at all or anything like that. But yeah, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you.